Okay, and I'm back. So today I'm going to be continuing on from yesterday, but not directly. So what I got done yesterday was got first few bits of implementation of this skeleton language done. Today I'm actually this is going to be kind of an intermediate video where I just kind of tidy up some of the code I have so far, add tests and linting and things like that, and just work towards basically the first commit of the project. So I tend to yeah do a lot of kind of tidy up work before I do my commits. So yeah, I know a lot of people use commits as just kind of snapshots of points in time, and really it's when a branch gets merged that's the atomic unit. Whereas in general, I try my best to have all my commits be meaningful in some way and be coherent. So in order to work towards the first of these, that's what I'll be doing today. First thing I want to do for that is add a proper name to the language. So yesterday I just put this in a directory called skellang, but this is not necessarily taken, but there's at least one or maybe a few other languages with that name, and just in the interest of not stepping on toes and things like that, I'm going to rename my project to I was thinking Norpl. So it's not a real programming language. So technically that would be Nerpl, but I feel Norpl just sounds a little better. Or I feel Nerpl sounds weird or worse. So anyway, this is really just a placeholder name. And it's not a it's not going to be a production language anyway. So yeah, this is really just a placeholder, but I want it for the first commit. So oops. Just thinking about the description here. How can I do this? Even though it's not quite C-like language, it's C-style language, I suppose. Style. In that the syntax is kind of closer to C than many of the kind of prevailing other types of language. Like your Lisps and your say languages with Pascal style syntax with Pascal or Ruby, where you have kind of words for delimit and back. So it's a stripped down C style language to be used for researching different programming language designs. Not really. Maybe as a basis for one particular language. Maybe, and it's not really programming language designs, it's more syntax. The base for researching different syntax. Researching different approaches. Design. Oop. Oh, okay, so that's our README done. And let me double check my notes. So next is the test setup. And let me just do a git status in here. So we haven't got the initial commit done. Let me check. So I'm using so I have another Rust project called depend that I'll be using as a reference here. So let me copy paste the link. So I'll be cloning or wgetting a bunch of files from this project, but I've changed some parts of my approach since this project. So I'll be changing things as well. So first of all, we'll grab the gitignore file. It just ignores. In fact, I can just create a new one, gitignore. And that's just going to ignore the output directory. And by the way, so you might notice that to do isn't coming up here. So in the actual, if I do vgit info exclude, I've already set up some catch-all rules for. I generally put these into all my projects, so I ignore vim swap files and any files starting or ending with underscores. This has actually landed me in trouble once, I think, when working with an open source project that actually used trailing and leading underscores in file names as part of the some of the project files. But in general, it's lightweight enough for ignoring my kind of scratch files. So let's see, we have Cargo.toml already. So next, let's grab a make file to, and actually something I want to do today is, so I've been running this command to build and run the project. So I'm just going to put that into a script to make running it easier. So so devloop.sh, and that's going to take a file name not equal to 1, or not a file name, sorry, a container name. And exit 1, usage 0, and that's going to take container name. So the idea being that it'll run, it assumes that there'll be another container running, that this can. Now I could do the same by using the with build env script to kick off this command every time as well. I feel it'll be just the way this is working. I feel like it'll be slightly more lightweight to run it in the existing container. Now I know Docker in general is very lightweight, but this will just be, I feel, slightly better for running things. TI interactive. So this is where container name. Probably don't need to bother with all of this because I won't actually be committing this, but that's all right. Cargo build, and does SH support error exit? I'm not sure, so I'll just keep things simple. Target debug and Norpl, not a real programming language. Cool. And we'll have to change the name in Cargo, and in fact we'll do a grep everywhere for scale. No, we want to skip target. So grep v target, keep things simple. I'm not sure how to exclude, oh no, binary. And yeah, this is probably a very inefficient way of ignoring certain files from this, but it's what I know how to do, as with many things. Cargo.toml and with build.env. So Norpl, and do I want that to be capital? I'm not sure if I do. Yeah, I think I do. And with build.env, the project name is, yeah, that's going to be lowercase. And anything else to change? No, I think that's it. So if I go bash and I'll do my dev loop, I take a container name, and it was Naughty Dubinsky, I believe. And we're good. Okay. So next thing I want to do is add a make file. So this is going to be one of these things that I grab. Excuse me. So grab from this other project that I have. So I'm going to just do a wget. And it's here. And there'll be a few things to change, but not much. So note that the target, yeah, that's all right. And this project just defines checks in the make file. Now we don't need to create any directories as part of this. This other project used scratch directories as part of the testing, whereas we don't need those yet. So we'll get rid of these for the time being. And check linting. We use Clippy, and that's something that we're going. So I'm going to open up the Cargo.toml from that other project to see what version of Clippy I was using. And have there been many changes since then, I wonder? So Cargo.toml, dependencies, this would be a build dependency, wouldn't it? Or dev dependency? Oh no, maybe I installed it as part into the actual build environment. Yes, it looks like I did. So I'll do that here too. So we go build, and then once we've yeah, so when we have a clean environment, the only thing we'll install is add Clippy. And I'll need to rebuild my environment for that as well. So I'll exit out of the current build environment, so that'll destroy the container. So this down here will exit as well. Oh no, it just next time it runs it won't work. So what I want to do is just restart it again. That'll be downloading Clippy. Although I'd like to pin Clippy to a version. Rust Clippy version. Can I do that with component add? I'm not sure. I'm not too familiar with component add. But let's take a look. What version are we on here anyway? (179 releases). So that's Rust 1.52.1. Let's see, Rust up component add Clippy. Maybe it just uses a standard syntax. Or maybe I'll do a Google for install Clippy version. Clippy is tied to Rust releases, so to get a very recent one. So I probably don't really need to do anything. Yes. So if it's kind of bundled with them, then I probably don't need to do anything, even though it makes me a little uneasy not pinning, even though sometimes I forget to pin things, but we should be all right. Okay then. So we have Clippy installed now, and I'll grab this script from that project as well, and then we won't bother with cargo integration at the moment. So or checking, doing integration tests for the moment, but we might add them back in, or we'll probably add in cargo unit testing. So let's see. Anyway, what is the name of this new container? So it's going to be a Frosty Tesla. All right, so that's running again. Now I'll probably want to update my dev loop script to use make instead of cargo build directly. Do I? Oh, I don't need to. Yeah. This make file is just for checking things. So let's try checking the linting rules. Make check lint make isn't installed. So what do I use for my build? It's because the build script for that project actually uses stretch. Now here's the tricky part. I have so many Rust images at the moment that I probably don't want to. I know there's a new Rust version available, but I don't really want to grab more than I have right now. So what are the versions I have? So I have an Alpine version. I also have Stretch, and the Stretch versions are very big, but I'm going to, it has basically all the tools that I want, so such as Python and make out of the box, I believe. So I'm just going to do that. So let's rebuild the environment. Let's go and install Clippy, and oh, that was quick, nice. So then if we run make, I'll do my Clippy check. And while we're at it, I'll also do a wget for that script for checking line lengths. Copy. So it looks like we have a bunch of errors. Oh, it's just some with the package itself even. So we're missing. Let's see. So we have. Oh, I clicked the wrong file again. Looking at Cargo.toml. So I need a bunch of these. So I'm just again going to copy a bunch of these things from this other package. Type in my name. Now I don't put my name usually as a footer that I don't put in just in case. You know, I have so much experience with tools and utilities not being able to handle commas. So, is it a development tool? No, it's a programming language. I'm going to look up the Rust cargo categories. And while that's loading, description. Did I spell that right? And this doesn't actually exist here yet, but I hope that it will. So I'm looking for categories and keywords next. Yeah, so this isn't going to be a particularly interesting stream. This is all just kind of housekeeping stuff and the likes. Category slugs and manifest. Oof, I don't like when Google shifts the page by a bit and it causes you to click on a link that you didn't intend to. So I don't see any obvious Rust category for programming languages. I suppose there probably aren't too many. I don't know about that, but web programming, no, probably the closest I'm seeing here is just development tools. Yeah, just generic build utils tag or development tools. Development tools. And let's see, keywords for the package. Programming is the keyword, I guess. Yeah. Language on its own, I don't think that conveys enough, so we'll just leave that programming. I'm not too bothered about discoverability for this. So that should be a few of those taken care of. I grabbed check line length, although I don't really want to copy it into the project as such. I might see if I can actually install that dependency project is kind of for this. It's for grabbing scripts and kind of things that, things like bash scripts and make files and things that don't typically have proper distribution systems associated with them. Cannot remember how I usually install this thing. What projects do I have that actually use it? I'm not sure if I have any yet. So the release binaries are there. I can't remember where I put them usually. And I do like to be consistent across my projects on how I use them. I would say I probably put it into user local bin using probably wget. So let's see. Yeah, wget is installed. I probably don't have access to user local bin. No, but I can just rebuild the environment. I'll get rid of that. Rust up component add. Yeah, so that's fine. And then now I'm not sure if I actually have I think this is just a generic build, but it should work on Debian, which I believe is what stretches. So let me copy link address here. And after we install Clippy, we'll install depend by doing a wget of that. And the output file, that's the long version of O, probably just output document. Oh, I would have said output file. I'm glad I looked this up. output document, and that will be user local bin depend, and that is probably all I will need to do, I'm guessing. So let's exit this, rebuild the environment, that gets grabbed, and then if I run depend, ooh, it's not executable by, oh wait, yeah, of course, because it's actually, I should be outputting that to the likes of here, tar.gz. I haven't even extracted it, so extract, the file will be that, and don't need to do verbose. Do I need to change to the target directory? Maybe. Oh yeah, so I have the absolute path of the file, so changing to the directory should be fine. User local bin. And so rebuild the environment. It'll only change, it caches the old version of the build environment, so only the updates need to change. And depend command not found, user local bin. Oh yes, that makes sense. So maybe I will, what should I do here? I'll extract it into the temporary directory, and then I'll just move it. So if it, I'll just try moving it for now, and if it doesn't have the executable bit set, then if it doesn't have the executable bit set, then I will do an install instead. So let's try that. Oh, didn't actually change the name, so that would do it. Okay, so we have depend working. And next thing I want to do is I want to pull the depend project itself. So what's the syntax for this file again? So we have depend.txt, and put it into target deps. I should probably grab that comment that I had from the make file. Because it's relevant here, because target directory is used for Rust, so we have to make sure that, you know, if this happens to be used by Rust for one reason or another, we need to kind of be aware of that. And next, what's script, or what's the syntax for depend.txt? So first is the name of the project, I believe, then the tool, and then the tag. So tag or checksum or what have you. So I'll just say v0, do that basically. And so if I go depend install, and that means in my make file that I should be able to do Python. Now, I haven't really used this before, so I'm not sure. how ergonomic all this is. So we have target, deps, depend, scripts, check line length. Yeah, that'll be all right for the moment. In fact, we'll pull back in that target directory definition for the make file. Not that it'll really do anything for the moment. We're probably, probably would be as easy to just pull the script from there. We're really getting into kind of left pad there. Was it left pad? Issues here. Like it's a bit overkill. Anyway, we'll continue on with the make checks. So yeah, I had meant to do that anyway, but thank you, Clippy. I noticed that earlier. So in our main.rust. So yeah, let's go back to the code for the time being. In fact, so I'll do yeah, we'll go back into the dev loop again. Is there anything we want to add to that? No. Anyway, we'll put in a make check lint first. And we'll kick off the dev loop with a container name this time. So docker ps and dev loop will be upbeat kilby. All right. Ooh, that's checking out the Rust files discovered in the target directory. So how do I make Cargo ignore those? Cargo ignore target directory, maybe, or no, Clippy. Ignore generated code. There's probably a very straightforward path exclusion rule here. Yeah, maybe I'll just do that. Clippy ignore directory. And that doesn't seem possible. Okay, that could be tricky. Because the code generator seems to be generating stuff that Clippy doesn't like. I just want to see my stuff. My bad coding. What can we do here? This is probably fixed in a more recent version of Clippy, but because I'm running an old one, I probably don't have that. What to do here? This is kind of opening up about can of worms. For now, yeah, I really just want to see my own issues for the moment. So those are just issues with the print statements, and we'll be removing those anyway, or making them slightly different. So, but just keep Clippy happy. We'll do it this way. Using print, have I gone past? Did I sort out all the issues? Use println instead. Using print. I feel like I sorted that. Oh no. Wait, what? Oops. So I've gotten it down to, whoops, 6 errors. So that seems to have sorted it. Yeah. Okay, so my stuff seems alright at the moment anyway. What will I do next? So let's see, what other stuff do I have available to me? So I want to pull in some docs. So won't pull in my error handling docs for the moment, but I'll pull in some docs I have on code style for my custom projects. And change to that directory, and I want to grab the raw version of this file. And oh no, what have I done? I've made my nerd tree window too small. There we go. And where were we? Scheduling. Okay, so one thing I saw earlier that I have to remove is this wrap errors section, which I don't use anymore. Context with context and unwrap or else, that's alright. Line length, match branches is still valid. Return lines, chain heads, errors, yeah, that's all fine, I think. Although I think the errors section references the errors file. Errors is probably alright for the moment. I don't have very sophisticated error handling at the moment, and you know, that's alright sometimes. Well, no, that's never alright. You should always handle your errors properly, but until I get to that initial commit, I'm going to leave it be for a while. Any other scripts that I want? Those are all just my usuals. Tests, test directory. Yeah, and that'll be one of the next things to get started with. Yeah, that'll probably be the last thing then before the initial commit is to get kind of proper tests up and running. So let's see here. So we'll have tests and test.rs. And let's see. So I'm going to, will I just define it directly? So this is this source is using modules, and again, this isn't something I'm too familiar with Rust. It's just something I have to look up every time. So so can I just do probably mod X for now? And how did I name these things? So I had CLI test setup. mod.rs. Yeah, so I'll probably call this CLI. No, I won't. I'll call this because that would be my integration tests. And these aren't really unit tests either. They are more like I suppose sample tests, because I'll be running the compiler on, or the interpreter on sample scripts. So let's see what one of these test files looks like. Nested errors. I probably don't even need to put that in there. So we have test function x, and we'll have our arrange, act, and assert. So we'll have input is equal to blah. We'll have action and assert. How do I do the asserts myself? There's probably some macro for that. I'll look it up in a second. So arrange, act, assert, or given when then. And I want to do kind of, I suppose what Go would call table-driven tests, but I want to actually have them in test files. Not sure how to lay that out, but Rust table tests, or table-driven tests. And I see two, so there's a project related to this and a forum thread. Yeah, so we have the assert macro. In fact, I'll open a tab for that, Rust assert. Is the test directory for integration tests. So I might not want to have that in there, do I? Yeah, it might be simpler for me to just do it, do the tests as integration tests. That's tricky. Which approach to use? Again, all these silly little details that don't really make much of a difference in the grand scheme of things, but I like to think them out regardless. Also, yeah, so we just set up some of the code as well for this this first commit, and what I'm going to do is it's basically just going to support print statements and integers and null, I suppose, and null as a value, not as a literal yet. Yeah, that looks nice. I'll probably, yeah, I'll put that into its own file as well. It'd be nice. The evaluation logic anyway, because that's going to grow quite big. The eval functions. Again, just looking at a reference for how to structure this stuff using modules. Must add my preambles as well. And let's see. So I've got all my standard includes at the top here. I should put standard collections there too, sort. And then I want my local module, so I have AST. I'll also add in eval there. And that's probably it. So those are my local tools. And now, one thing to decide here is, do I want to keep the eval prefix on these functions even though it's in a module with that prefix or with that name? I feel like Clippy is probably going to give out to me about having that prefix on those functions anyway, because yeah, it's like eval prog. Even though the thing is, prog on its own is a noun. Eval prog is kind of an action, but prog on its own is just a noun. So it kind of, I don't love the idea of that as a function name because it's not an action. But we'll see first if Clippy even allows me to do it this way. Oh, and I've big loads of bad line lengths. So let's see here. Make file. I'm just at the moment finding all Rust files. So I'll need to limit that to How many arguments can I pass to this script? Dependencies, scripts, check line length, main, usage pattern, and max length. So I'll probably have to invoke it a couple of times. For pattern in, we'll give it a couple of patterns. Do and done. Do I want to put the semicolon there? I'm not sure. But anyway, or maybe we'll go dir in source and in, or sorry, first scripts, we'll put everything in there. Yeah, for the moment we'll just do Rust files. And we only really need to check the source directory. So let's take it easy on ourselves and not complicate things too much. Even though I love to complicate things, but I don't really. But I just tend to do it naturally. So let's skip Clippy for the moment. Oh, DVA mechanics. Thanks very much. Thank you. Let's see. So I haven't changed anything, so I'll reboot the loop. Reboot the loop. That sounds kind of nice. Reminds me of Stop the Bus. And we were just talking about that yesterday. So eval rs, yeah. So we have a big load of lines that are breaking my convention. So let's sort those out. And then this is the last one, I believe. And anything else then? No, these are just actual build errors now because I moved things around. So let's see, no variant bool named for that, 64, line 64, value bool. Oh yeah, because we're trimming things. Oh, did I just remove stuff? Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that just yet. First, oh, and the AST. Would the AST mind about that? No, the AST doesn't care. Function eval prog is private, so all of these eval things, or a bunch of these eval things, not everything needs to be published. Value print, yeah. Now whether to define print in the evaluation module, I don't think it needs to be in there, and it's probably nicer to separate things out where we can. So to that end, is eval a good name for that module? I don't know. Probably not. I'm not sure what would be a better name though. Unused import AST. And is AST being used in this file? Oh no, because I'm doing a star import. I'll have to add the AST prefix, all the AST statements. But anyway, Oh no, I don't, because I can just, yeah, I'll do, I'll import types Java style. It's when I'm using functions that I keep the package or the module package. Anyway, the prefix, I keep them when I'm calling functions. So expression wasn't found in this scope, so I'll import AST star for now. And I don't need to copy over mod here. That just has to be defined in the main package, which is something which I found kind of tricky when learning modules. Even though I still don't know modules, but what little I do know involves the fact that modules only have to be defined in the root files, it seems. Use undeclared type or module value. So value, I'm guessing, is in here. And down here. Although what I would do generally is, yeah, so like I was saying, I would types are imported directly, and that's not being used in main. No, it's not being used in where? In main? Oh yeah, it's only being traversed by, yeah, okay. All right, and we have a working build again. So I'll get rid of that temporary main.rs, and where do I want to go from here? Let's think. So I need to, let me write some notes. So I need to clean up the code a little, remove unused stuff, remove unused things. Oh, and we need to implement tests. That'll be a bit of work. Add tests, and yeah, I'm guessing there'll be integration tests. And another little bit of just housekeeping to get this thing set up. I'm going to use a little project that I wrote that I'm, again, a little proud of. Doesn't do anything special, but I like it. It just checks comments, the style of comments for my personal preferences. It's also the first project I've added to pip. So let's see, pip comment style or pypi. So I'll look for comment style. Yeah. All right then. And let's see, scripts. No, I added again to the build environment. So this can get installed kind of at the same time as depend. So no, I know I want to avoid lots of layers, but I also want to separate things that aren't read related as well. Like I want to install, say, all Python dependencies at the same time. Although this isn't really don't think of any installation instructions for this project. So how do I do it? Let's try this. Pip3 doesn't exist. Python, or I would have to do an apt-get. Ooh, this is gonna make the build environment very big. Apt-get install this. Yes. Apt-get install. Yes. I'll just say Python 3 pip. Yeah, no, it's 3 pip. In fact, can I man that? Apt-get. Assume yes. Yeah. Whoops. So we'll install that, and yeah, we'll install Slippy first, and we'll update as well, and then finally we will do no, we'll do it interactively. That's gonna make things big. All right then, so pip3 install comment style at 0.1.0. Yeah, that makes sense too. Maybe I'll just do it like this for now. Run and pip3 install comment style at 0.1.0. Invalid URL. So how do you install a particular version with pip install specific version? Triple equals. So let's try that. And then can I just do comment style? I can. And it gets installed into user local bin, so that's all right. So that's the same as depend. So we'll rebuild that. Rebuild our build environment. And I want to define a comment style YAML file. And do I need to copy my preamble? Well, I'll need to make sure that's in all the files as well. But anyway, so paths. So we go include all the Rust files. Oops. But exclude everything in target. Do I have to do that? I'm not sure. We'll see if that works for the moment. And so comment style comment style YAML doesn't contain comment markers yet. I haven't added those yet. and line comments start with that. Block comments, I believe, start with that in Rust. Okay, nice. We've got a couple of things caught with that so far, and it seems to be ignoring the test directories. Either that or all the comments in the test directories are perfect, or the target directories, I mean. So in eval, so I will copy that for the moment. So line 40, remove that. Line 105, remove that. Test file arrange act and assert. Don't have punctuation or capitalization, but that's all right. Check line length, so I can get rid of that. So what other paths do we have? We have our scripts, .sh. We also have .toml, all these files that that use pound symbols to start comments. So what else do we have? Depend.txt, makefile, and we'll sort these. They're already sorted. YAML files, so we'll do the same check on the comment style YAML. So we've sh, we'll add in LALRPOP. Any last ones then, that should about do it. So yeah, so in shell scripts, we actually want to allow trailing comments, because it's not actually a trailing comment, it's just that the comment marker is being used in the middle of a line. So we want to have a specific rule for that, where we allow trailing comment. And we can probably get rid of those new lines to make the sections clearer. And no leading space, so we'll remove that from that, and we need to update the date of that script. That one's all right. And is that it for the comments? Docker or build is still giving issue. Oh, that's in target, so again, yeah, we'll have to exclude that. All right, so it's complaining about the make file because we've stuff commented out, and the test. So yeah, they're all good. They're all good. Oh, I keep doing that today. 29, no, 29. So we'll check style first. And that will be, how did I invoke that? Just comment style. Comment style, comment style.yaml, and yeah, we'll just comment that out for the moment, so it won't actually run anything. So if we do a make, missing a separator, line 11, oh yeah, that'll do it. And we're good again. Okay, so where are we next? So most of the kind of linting and styling stuff that I want to get from the outset has been set up. And next I want to start removing the unused stuff. So I've backed up eval.rust, the eval.rust that we have so far. And next I want to start removing things that aren't going to be covered in the initial version. So we're going to remove bool support. In fact, let's start with at the AST levels. So we're not going to have assignments. We're not going to have variables. We're just going to have calls. And so the only program we're going to allow at the start, it's just going to be almost as minimal as you can get, will be printing an integer. You can define integers and you can define functions, and that'll be basically it for the start. And I think that's all we need there. And so that means the AST imports that we have will be a program, statement, and expression. And anything else that we want to do here now. So evaluate program, evaluate statement, evaluate expression, and that just, and this won't be supported. So these are all first class values. Yeah, all of these values are going to be first class. So let's just bunch them together. Or will we separate them into composite kind of basic types and non-basic types? Yeah, maybe we will. So now I know I said that we were going to give better names for some of these fields, but a lot of these are kind of defined by context. Int v, maybe int n. Any other cleanup that I want to do here? So these are side effect functions. Do I want them in those kind of simple matches, or do I want to put blocks around them to make the side effects more obvious? Again, all very minor problems, but it's worth thinking about. maybe func. Okay. All right. So with that, that is, yeah, the minimal evaluation that we want to start this project with. Call doesn't have to be those, but again, we'll sort those out later. I didn't back up AST, but it won't take long to recreate those fields. Then the LALRPOP. Using AST, same imports here. Z minus. Now let's see, so getting rid of assignment, getting rid of operations, can flatten that. We don't even need statements really, but you know, it'll be added back in so quickly that I'm going to leave it in the initial commit. Move that, and we again only allow one argument at the moment. I still find that quite funny. So we also don't need to put our argument in a box because it's already in a vector. I believe we can remove the box in that case. So we don't need an identifier definition. We still have our definition for white space rules and comments. So let's see, is everything still building, by the way? Better check that first. We'll do that, and then we'll do, so there's no container with that name, docker ps unruffled height. I'm not sure what that word is. No definition for identifier. Ooh, so we did need that actually. And AST arguments can't be dereferenced because we removed box. So that's on line 47. Remove that. Line 41. Int doesn't have that field. Oh, maybe in AST it hasn't been renamed. Yes. And a local variable exists with the same name in, oh yes, in the actual parser as well, int. And there we go. So that will probably be our, yeah, so our test.txt has more stuff than we support, I believe. Although, no. What was the location there? Location, oh, location 11. It's just split onto two lines. So yeah, we have our minimal environment. Next thing, last stretch then is to add tests. This could be yeah, this could be a bit tricky. I'm not sure what there'll probably be a bit of exploration here. I'm not positive ahead of time what approach I'll be using. I'm fairly sure that I'll do it as an integration test though, and I'll probably do some kind of table driven development or table driven tests where there'll be different test files for different features, and each of those test files will be broken into lots of source target pairs that the tests will be auto-generated to check. But we'll have to, yeah, there's a bit in that. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to go about doing it. So I might just get my notepad and sketch out a little idea of what I'm going to do. Let's see. So first, I need to know where the sample code or the expectation files are going to go. The ones used to generate the tests, I need to find out where the actual test files go. That's about it, really. And I need to set up the table-driven tests. Now, of that cursory look I took earlier at table-driven tests, it looks like there's a macro library for Rust that will do what we want. But we shall investigate further just to make sure. Okay, so it looks like that doesn't actually generate tests as such. It uses its own kind of output format. Could I use code generation? Again, really complicating things early on here, but could I use code generation to generate the tests that I want? Maybe. Oh yes, so this user burnt sushi. Yeah, that makes sense that there'd be a macro to just generate those tests. But can you nest macros? I presume so. But let's see how that's working. Test map. Yeah, that looks cool. That looks very nice, actually. So I might copy that with a link to the with a link to the source. Next is to find out where to put these tests. So I'll take a look at my depend project again, because I did a fair bit of investigation into that kind of stuff when setting up that test, so I might as well use it here. And so with tests, and what's my makefile looking like here as well? So again, I'm not going using that. How much disk space do I have? Because yeah, I've about a quarter of my disk. Because it would be handy to yeah, just use the latest version of Rust. I'm not even sure. Yeah, what is the latest version of Rust? 1.5.2. Like, that's not too much or newer than what I have. Well, the Alpine image I have, it's a lot newer than the stretch versions I have. Yeah, I'll see. Yeah, if it's a quick fix, then I'll just go with that. Anyway, back to the tests. So here we go, test CLI. What other directories do I have here? Those are just supporting files. So yeah, CLI. Even though that's not the best directory layout, because it's not very clear where the tests actually, like where do the tests live, and what which one of these modules are just kind of helper modules. But anyway, I'll worry about that later. Macro. Do I want those? No, I used it for that project, so I'll just have mod CLI for my CLI tests. And mods.rs. Again, it took me a long time to figure that kind of stuff out, and I had split this section into different modules. Don't think I'll need to do that here though. So I can just declare a test here. Test function x, and that'll be a range act and assert. And what will I do then? So first thing I want to do is, so I want to grab a reference to the built compiler or the built interpreter, run it on a file or on some sample input, get the output, and check it against the expectation. So I'll need two things. So first of all, yeah, we'll set up a dummy test. So let in, so we'll have source, target, and expectation. No, target is the expectation. So can you do backticks for strings in Rust? No. Does Rust have allow new lines in strings? Not sure. So target would be just one in this case. So we're going to go, and the source is just going to be print 1. the action will be, oh yeah, it'd just be a lot easier to do unit style testing, like as in memory testing, like not actually worrying about using the like running the actual running it as a command, like just using program parser and eval directly. Hum. Yeah, I probably don't want to bother with writing full proper integration tests. Let's set up some input files. So we won't worry about that for the moment. We'll keep progressing. And we'll search for Rust test input files and just where they go in the file system. Test organization, nice. I really admire how well Rust is thought out in general. Although they don't actually mention in test organization what I was actually talking about, but I mean it's fairly niche. Not everyone would want that. Additional test input files. Testing file operations best practices. File-driven tests. That sounds very like what I want. Create data tests. Create for supporting data-driven tests, where individual cases are defined via data rather than in code. And first type is file-driven tests. And these tests define a directory to scan for data, a pattern to match, and optionally a set of templates to derive other file paths. That sounds very nice. So let's take a look. Oh, but that's just for defining actual tests in different files, actual Rust tests in different files, not for defining them using your own syntax. It seems like. I don't know. I think it might do what I want. Oh, yes, it is. I'm just reading it wrong. Whew. Looks a little complicated, might take a while, but it's probably better than reinventing the wheel anyway. It goes in a test cases directory, is it? Rust test cases directory. Okay, so I think what I want to do is so I still want the test directory. I won't use CLI. I won't use tests, but I will put my test cases in here, I think. And I'll use kind of a bespoke format for my tests, I believe. So let's see, tests, print, and because it's bespoke, I'll just call it .txt. And the way I'll lay these out is I'm going to have these input and output sections where the input is going to yeah, basically it's going to look like that. So we're going to have one section that's going to define the input, one section that's going to define the expected output, and yeah, that'll define our test. So let's see, can we use this data test package to generate our test for us? So what would be left to be involved in that? So let's see. So first of all, what I need to do is, so things that are left to implement to get this all working together. So first of all, I want to rename that. Are there any other things that I need to sort out? I remember I had some issues with or some shortcomings with the error handling. Yes, I have a lot of unwraps to sort. So I'll create a commit file of things I need to do before I commit. So remove unwraps. Anything else? Set up tests. And once I have them, then I should be in an alright place. Do I want that to have, oh, that's already within the 80 characters. So anything else then? Check names. And think about it, Val, see if we want to rename that at some point. So next thing to do, checking out our file-driven tests using data tests. So first we'll create, yeah, so we'll keep that around. We'll be using that later still, but for actually kind of for streaming purposes, just to know what we're working on. But for our actual commits, we're going to create test.rs. I think this is something that I can do. Or maybe because the test is going to be so small, it doesn't really matter that it's in the main area. So let's see, config test mod test, and in here we have test and function x, and assert 1 is equal to 1. Let's see what this is like now. And we'll just do, so that'll be make check. I don't need to have test threads. I don't need a test directory. I won't show output. Yeah, so that's all I need to do. Probably don't need a makefile for that, but do I want to bother keeping it in the makefile? So if it's just going to be something like that, probably not. Probably is easy to just invoke it directly. So dev loop. Yeah, we're all right for the moment with that. So let's just do cargo test. Okay, and it runs nice. And so next thing we want to do is start generating tests to see how that works. So we'll open up the crate page for this project first. On crates.io. So we're looking at data test 0.63. And yeah, that's just a build dependency, I'm guessing. 6.3. And so if I run the test, it'll probably download it first, make sure that everything's all right there. So I need feature. Ooh, will I even have support for this feature again, using an old version of, yeah, using an old version of Rust might not be feasible here. So what we'll do is we'll comment that out for the moment. And yeah, we'll bite the bullet and update our version of Rust to the latest version supported by Docker. So let's take a look. Probably gonna finish up in the next fewer than 10 minutes anyway. But let's see what we can do in that time. So 1.5. And do we want slim? That is tempting to use slim instead of full image. These are actually using, is Buster a new version of Debian, I'm guessing? Buster or Bullseye? What is Bullseye? Is that Debian? It is. And how does it compare to Buster? Is Buster older, I'm guessing? Okay, Reddit, show me what's the difference between Bullseye and Buster. So yeah, Bullseye is just newer. So let's see. First of all, whoops. So it's 52.1 is the Rust version, and that's on Bullseye. And there's a slim version of Bullseye. So let's see. The thing about slim Bullseye probably won't have support for make, so we'll check that out first before we start adding loads of stuff. Okay, let's see how much space this takes up. 200 megs isn't too bad, but I'm guessing we'll have to use the full version. But then we can just install make manually. Let's see, make, no. But if we install make directly, we might not need everything that comes with Bullseye. So lmnop make sort. Yeah, I'm not going nuts. Well, I think I already am, but ooh, I shouldn't. Yeah, I probably want all of that stuff for the moment, just for testing purposes, just to make sure everything's working. And make, oops, that's not how you spell that. No rule for check integration, so it looks like everything's kind of working. Check integration, check lint, and we'll do cargo build. Yeah, so slim should be plenty. And that might have sorted our Clippy issue as well. So let's take a look at that. So we'll uncomment the Clippy stuff. I should probably put the line stuff under check style because it's more like styling rather than like style is more syntax and lint is more semantics. Well, no, that's not true. Lint is syntax and semantics, I'm guessing. Style is just, yeah, layout. And that will be, yeah, line length will be included in that. So come on, Clippy. Ignore dependencies, please. No, it's still grabbing them. That is a pity, but we'll worry about that later. Yeah, that's all good. And so then the next thing I want to do is I'll uncomment those, and depend install will probably have to happen before this. I forgot about that. Oops. And make sure that that's installed, and then yes. So can I use, yeah, so that's all. Let me just double check that cargo build actually works, because that's why I upgraded in the first place. Yes, nice one. So let's try this feature. Custom test, whoops, test frame works. Test runner, data test runner, and finally data test files. Test cases. And how am I going to define these? So I'm just naming them as print. I don't need them to be for each of those input and output. Also, that has that separates each test in two. So if you want an input string and an output string, each is going to exist in a file. So maybe I'm better off using the data-driven test so that I can define the syntax of my test files myself. Define the YAML file with a list of test cases. That's not really what I want either. That's a pity. I might be able to use that that GitHub project from earlier, though, the burnt sushi one, to just use macro expansion to define the test files that I want. Maybe, very maybe. Oh, unlikely. Yeah. Anyway, I've gotten a lot of the boilerplate out of the way now. Anyway, and yeah, there really won't be much left before the first commit. So that's probably where I'll leave it today. Yeah, there's a lot there, a lot of mess, but yeah, that'll get sorted out quickly enough as well. All right, nice one. Actually, just out of curiosity, can I remove that and it's still build? No, because that is used for all the modules. Yeah, that's all right. So, cool. Yeah, so I suppose I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, anyone who's watching, and yeah, if you're interested in this project, do feel free to follow me on Twitter. I'm going to try and do a more regular slot for these streams. And though this kind of stream was more ad hoc and is more for tidying up, it's not really building on the core compiler at the moment. It's really just messing around with project layout and boring things like that. But yeah, I suppose there'll be notifications on Twitter potentially, and yeah. Also, you can reach out to me on, you can reach out to me on Twitter, and also is it dev.to? I think they allow messaging and things. If you have any questions or comments that you want to make on the stream so far. But yeah, again, thanks to anyone who's watching, and talk to everyone later.